Global Market. Today I'm excited to share with you an interview that I recently did with Paul Tompkins from Flippin Experts. Paul and his beautiful wife Kelsey have been dear friends of my husband and I's for many years. But the reason why I wanted to interview him is because they are wildly successful in their home renovation and flipping business. But also they have an online course, a membership site, and I'm always impressed with the different ways and streams of income that they have been able to generate in their business. So I highly recommend you check them out. I'm gonna link their YouTube channel in the description below, and I hope you enjoy this interview. He's just a wealth of information, great tips and tricks, and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, guys, stay tuned. This is Michelle with Paladin Global Market, and today I have with us Paul Tompkins, and he's the CEO of Flippin Experts and Flippin Experts Academy. They provide real estate investors with all training and knowledge they need to be successful real estate investors. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Michelle, thank you so much for the invite. Love being here. Love following what you're doing. You're doing amazing things. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here. I've always been very intrigued with your business. I know that my husband and I have been friends with you and your wife for many years and have followed your journey to success. And I just thought it'd be great to have you on the channel and on our podcast so that we can just share it with everyone and help to build their businesses up. So just have some great questions to ask you today, and let's just pick your brain. Good?
Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, tell us, how did you first start running this type of business, with house flipping? What started you on it?
Yeah, it's a crazy story because, you know, I knew your husband way back in the day. I was a police officer, and he worked for a different department than I did. And being in that business of being a police officer, it's very testing on family. It's very cumbersome. The hours, the shift work, sometimes traveling. It just depends on what you're doing for it. But for me, I loved it, like to give it the opportunity to go serve the community. And I was a state trooper. So they're like, hey, here's a car. It goes really, really fast. Here's a gun, and like, go catch bad people. And I'm like,
and you get lights too.
Yeah. And I'm like, and you're going to pay me for this? I'm like, I'm in.
Great.
And it was awesome. Like, I did it. I worked a great part in Jacksonville, Florida, kind of where you're at. And I loved it. It was awesome. But about 6-7 years in, Michelle, I was like, there's got to be more. You have that entrepreneur heart and spirit. And I'm like, okay, is God calling me to something bigger? Am I supposed to be shifting? Am I supposed to be moving? Like, I kind of felt stagnant going in my 6th year. And I was still doing as hard as I was doing it the first year. It was just like, man, I can get shot at any time. I can get in a car wreck chasing somebody. We all know what's going on in the world right now with police officers. There's so much liability. And I was missing my family. I didn't go to my son's football games. I wasn't able to be at certain functions with my family because I had shift work. You know, literally 1 month I would work day shift. 28 days later, I work a night shift. 28 days later, I'm on a midnight shift. And I'm like, I don't see my family for 28 days. Like, how is that?
Crazy.
And Michelle was making $36,600. I'm like, okay, something's not adding up, you know? And I feel like, Michelle, we all get trapped by it's a state retirement. I have good benefits. I know I have a job that can never really go away. We're always going to need police, or we might not after what we're going through right now in these times. But we get caught up in that comfortableness. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's not what's best for me and my family. So I actually started in looking at, like, where do most millionaires and billionaires invest money, look at businesses, what's in their portfolios, and real estate just kept popping and popping and popping. And I'm like, okay, enough for me. I don't need to go to college to figure out it's this. And as a state trooper, it was kind of awesome because, like, I'm driving around and I'm like, is that a vacant home right there? Oh, and there's another one. And, you know, I started seeing real estate a different way. I knew I loved real estate. I knew I loved buying houses. I always had that in me, building stuff, seeing it go from old eyesore in the community to like something that can be restored and beautiful again. So I just dove right in, and I found a local coach that showed me the ins and outs. Some were good, some were bad. And I mean, literally I found him and I said, hey, I want to learn your industry. And I did it a really funny way. Like, I pulled up at his office in my patrol car and in my uniform, and he's like, and I'm like, sir, I need something from you. And he's just like, what did I do? Who did it? What happened?
Yes.
And he's an investor, and he's, a little shady sometimes. So like he might've had a reason to be scared. I said, listen, I just want to learn your industry. I see you're driving a Mercedes. I know you live on the water. I know you have a lot of money. Like, I'm not worried about those things, but those to me are proof of concept, right? Like somebody's being successful in business, it usually shows in some way in their life. And so I said, I'm going to clean your trash. I'm going to file your paperwork. I'm going to clean your office. I want to follow you every time you talk to somebody about real estate for a year.
Right.
No. I don't want to teach you what I know. And then you're going to be my competition. I said, listen, I'll sign a non-compete. I was all in, Michelle. I'll do whatever it takes. Gotcha. And that's how I got into it. And I started doing it. And one deal turned into 3 deals and 4 deals and 8 deals. And literally I'm a state trooper making $36,600 a year. And I'm doing part-time real estate, making over $300,000 a year for year after year. I'm like, okay, I gotta quit.
You're like,
when is the time? And that's kind of how I got started. And then 2008 hit, right? Economies, all this, and I hadn't gone through that before in real estate. And I'm glad. I'm glad I went through that in 2008, because now I understand what happens to economies and markets and how things shift and how people get scared and hoard money. And like, I never knew that before. So now I know like what we're going through in 2020. I'm like, no big deal. I got this. I might shift and pivot a little bit. But I'm like, no big deal. No big deal. And then I ended up getting remarried, meeting this amazing woman at church, getting remarried.
Awesome.
And now we do it together full time. And she handles design and staging and all this other stuff that I'm not good at. I'm a dude. Like, I'm just like, paint it blue. I don't know. So we bounce it off each other, and it's amazing.
She's awesome. And we can't wait to have her on the show. And sometime in the future, you guys are a great dynamic duo. And that leads me into, as a result of your flipping business, you then stepped into having an online course, your Flipping Experts Academy, and your membership course. Could you share us a little bit about that? Tell us about that.
Yeah. The more and more deals we started to do, people got to know us. People in the community are like, man, that's that guy who's over there flipping 50 deals a year. He's doing this, he's doing that. He's doing the community outreach. He's doing that. Like, he's always in something. So kind of our name got out in our community, and we'd go speak somewhere, and afterward there's like a line of 20 people. And I'm like, cool. It's just whatever. It's just, they want to say hi or whatever.
Sure.
And it turned out to be stories of what was going on in people's lives. And it was like, either really, really good because they had knowledge and motivation, or it was really, really bad because they didn't have any education in what they were doing and they had no motivation. Like, well, I'm going to try this. I'm like, your mindset's all wrong. You're never going to succeed.
Yeah.
And it turned out being that month after month after month. And I'm like, finally, I was in this mastermind with Brendan Burchard and Dean Graziosi and a couple other guys. And
they're awesome.
One of the things they spoke about was getting your message out to more people. And I'm like, okay, that's cool for other people. But then it was like, how do I get my voice out to these people who are doing it wrong?
Right.
And if I can talk to 20 people in an hour, how many people can I talk to virtually or in a training program? So Kelsey and I spent over a year building out this online training program where people can learn from A to Z. Like, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't even have a company set up. I don't even know what my company name should be. I don't even know how to find a house. I don't even have any money. I just finished a podcast where this guy, he talks about not even using your own money, and people don't know you can do that. And I'm like, well, whose money are you going to use? Do you have $500,000 or $1 million, $2 million in the bank?
Right.
No. So I walk them through that, but also at the same time, I'm helping them with their mindset, right? Their positivity. How do you take a step? And we actually just took those courses and launched a membership site literally last week because we wanted it to be cheaper. We wanted it to be instant access. We wanted them to have live communication like we're doing today, where I'll do a teaching every single month. And then at the end of it, they can ask me questions or ask Kelsey questions or our team. And we can say, hey, that's your hurdle. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get over that hurdle. And we even partner with students. We partner with students. We put up our own cash because we believe in what we teach because we do it every single day. So that's kind of how we got into that. It was just, how do we help and serve more people?
Yeah, and you guys have done a fantastic job. I personally have taken your course. I absolutely loved it. I learned so much, and I'm excited to start. I just need to get out there and do that first deal, stretch my time. I've got so much going on, just make a focus.
You have a lot, Michelle. You're high level.
I do. I feel like I'm juggling a ton, but it's all good. So
with that, though, I highly recommend the course. I think it was fantastic. So what are some of the biggest, out of this course, you're saving people from struggles that they're encountering? What are some of the biggest ones that you've encountered over the years in this business?
Oh, my struggles. Mindset's probably always going to be the biggest. And we're human, right? We like to be in comfort. We like to not take risk if we don't have to.
Yep.
But that's the only way we grow. We're afraid of failure, but that's the only way we grow and learn. So for me, I think constantly adjusting my mindset. I literally do it every day, sometimes more than once a day, but adjusting our mindset. And I even see that in new people that like, I want to go into this industry. And I'm like, awesome.
Right.
Like, what steps are you taking? Well, I'm just, and they're not taking that step. They're not, mindset's not right. So for me, I think that, I mean, when I first got started, probably funding was a big deal. Sure. Everything revolves around money in people's eyes. Like, if I don't have money, I can't be successful. If I don't have money, I can't get the right education. If I don't have money, I can't start a business. Well, where do you think all these other millionaires and billionaires started?
Right.
Like it's proven like over 90% of them like didn't start with anything. Yeah. So it can be done. But for me, it was probably funding. I was a state trooper. I was only making $36,000. I didn't have any money in the bank. Like I was making it paycheck to paycheck, working overtime. Right. But I knew I could use other people's money. And if I borrowed their money and I could double or triple the return, what did I care if I was paying them? So I met a money guy in Jacksonville. I started talking to him, having a relationship, right? And we hit it off, and money was never a problem again.
That's awesome. Once you get that leap.
Yeah, it's really just taking a step. And the step was, okay, let's go find that person. Okay, the next step is have a conversation with that person. Next step is get him the information he needs so we can move forward. It's just baby steps. And I think that's where my membership really helps people. It's over time. I'm not giving you, hey, go do all this right now. It's like, hey, day one, you don't need to worry about how to find a house. Get this in order, get this. Okay, now we're going to, and it's just steps. And I think we don't really know what we can accomplish over a long period of time if we just break it down and say, okay, I mean, look at building a car. I don't know where I just came up with this, but building a car, it isn't done in 1 or 2 days or 3 days or 5 days. Like they put piece by piece and it goes to the next piece. And that's kind of how our course is like, hey, just start. And then we're going to walk you through that. So it just eliminates those issues. But for me, it was probably the mindset of like, I mean, I was always hungry, but it was like, okay, I failed. I feel like I failed at this because I lost $2,000 and I didn't see that coming. But I'm like, nope. I now learn that check for the next 8,000 houses I'm going to do. And you know what I mean? And turn it into a positive and then say, hey, I lost $2,000, but I learned more with that $2,000. I mean, how many people, Michelle, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at college and they walk away and they never use what they went. So I'm like, I just paid $2,000 for that mistake that is going to turn around and make me $800,000 over the next 30 years. Like I'll take
Plus you're helping and paying it forward with your course and your membership and teaching others to help them. Yeah. So it was a valuable investment. It hurts when you go through it, but but you're like, I'll never forget that one. And I do like too, what you mentioned about Brenda Michard and how you set your goals in the morning, get your headset right. I know you and I have talked about that before, and that's something I've implemented this year. Just every morning, getting up, getting that daily planner started. What am I going to tackle today? And then at the end of the day, if I can't get it all done, just say, you know what? I did great. Let's go on to the next day, and taking that step by step, like you said, through your course as well. Moving on to success. It's a good thing.
Kelsey's really helped me learn to celebrate the wins. Like how many times in our mindset do we go, I had 10 things on my to-do list. I only got 6 done. And we see that as a negative thing versus I got 6 things done today. And if I do 6 over the next 90 days, that's 540. Like just think of huge. And that's what I'm talking about mindset, our culture. And just the way we're humans, the way we're wired, it's always to kind of think it as of a negative thing. And I'm like, hey, I got 6 things done that I didn't have done yesterday. So I'm moving the ball forward. My job as a real estate investor, as a husband, keep the ball moving, right? It's always just, okay, what's next? What's the next? And it's amazing what you can accomplish.
It really is if you put your mind to it. Even when your emotions don't follow, the thing I have found, there's 2 things when I talk about a lot of my podcasts is I love that book that is Eat That Frog, and it talks about, have you read it, where it talks about eating the biggest, ugliest task of the day, because then once you're done, everything else is easier to do. But then also celebrating those wins, like you said, that you and Kelsey talk about, because when you look back, if you just do a little bit every day, you're going to get to your goal. So,
That's
and
right.
keep your head straight and just say, all right, sometimes I have to talk with myself. All right, Michelle, I don't care if you're not feeling it today. You're going to get up and you're going to work on your business. So
that's right. Amen.
That's awesome. So tell us, what are some of your favorite house flips? Can you share some of your numbers?
Ooh. Man, we have so many.
I know, you guys really do.
What I like about where I live, I'm over in Tallahassee, Florida, so I'm kind of in a big city, but then I'm surrounded by all these rural counties.
Right.
So I think what's cool for Kelsey and I is we get to see a lot of different types of houses. So I can be working on a normal house in Tallahassee in the city, and 2 weeks later I could be working on a farmhouse on 30 acres.
Yeah.
And a week later I could be building a new house on a vacant lot, wherever. So or be in South Georgia. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Trying to think of, we've had some crazy houses that like drug dealers and shootouts and police and marshals have come out, which I kind of like those. Kelsey doesn't like those.
Yeah. Kind of, I love them. I'm like, past. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not a police officer anymore, but I got your back.
I think it's fun.
Like, all right. But for me, I think where I find the most joy is what we do is we fix and flip. And, you make 40 grand here, 50 grand here, 80 grand here. And we take the winnings, we take those profits, which are winnings, we put those towards a rental for long-term wealth. So my biggest fear was, man, what if I get hurt tomorrow? What if I get in a car accident? What if I get cancer? Is Kelsey and my family always taken care of? And with fix and flips, it's based on your performance, right? Like you have to go out every day, you have to hire this, you have to do this, you have to keep the ball moving every single day. But with the rental, that kind of goes away. You can hire a management team, you can hire an assistant, you can whatever. So for us, I think my favorite flips are buying one that I know I'm going to renovate, right? I get to handle the renovation. Instead of it being a $50,000 rehab, I can do it for 35, save 15 grand. And then I turn that into my rental portfolio. I get to cherry pick my rentals. So for me, we just did two in the last couple months. Numbers were pretty similar. Like we bought them at 60,000, put in 40,000, 45,000. So we're in them for 110, 105, went to 120 on both of them. And they're both worth $250,000 each.
That's awesome.
So for me, I like those because I have instant equity. Both of them have over $100,000 equity.
That's awesome.
But I strategically do it where I look at tax implications. I look at long-term holding. I look at, do they depreciate and help me on my taxes while they're still appreciating in value? So all of those things, when I move it from a fix and flip to a rental, well, if I took short-term capital gains on that $100,000, I'm giving away 50 grand, 45 grand right off the bat. But if I hold it, I now drop into long-term capital gains while renting it, creating $18,000 of rental income. While on my taxes, I take a depreciation hit because I now have a rental that's depreciating. But at the same time, it's appreciating in value. So for me, those are the favorite because instant equity, I get a check every single month for the rest of my life. I did the renovation, so I know the roof's good, the AC's good, the flooring's good. If something happens, I have a rehab crew. I send them.
Exactly. You can change the carpet.
So those are my favorite. Kelsey has different favorites where, like right now, we're getting ready to start a 100-year-old house. So she is
amazing.
5,000 square foot. I'm like, I'm going to
design crazy. She's ready. Huh?
Oh yes. It's gorgeous. But that's a 200,000 plus rehab. So she likes those, even though the work is a lot more intensive on my side. She likes the beauty and the
transformation.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what are some tips that you can give people that are starting out who may have started already maybe doing some flips and kind of easing into it, but wanting to step a little more into transitioning into it full time? What advice would you give about scaling their business? Because that's a big thing. I don't think a lot of people consider when they're growing their business.
Right. Yeah. I even think it's any business. It's not even just flipping houses. So when I was making $300,000 flipping houses part-time, and then full-time state trooper making 36. So figure the math out on that. I wanted to quit so many times. I'm like, I can just walk away.
Yeah.
And my coach my coach said, get enough experience under your belt, right? So that you're not going to get the curveballs thrown at you. And now curveballs come no matter what season of life you're in. But if I had 2 or 3 years experience versus 6 months experience, big difference in any industry, right? And he's like, hey, just take enough hits, learn enough before you just drop off, and then build up the new side before you get rid of the old side. So many people, what they try to do is like, I hate my job. It's terrible. I just sit there all day. I don't do anything. I'm going to quit and do this, but they haven't taken the time to build this yet.
Yes.
So like you understand that I have to build this and it's going to take time. I've seen you do it with multiple businesses. I have to take time to build this to get it to the level that it can support this income I'm letting go.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't do that. They just like, I'm quitting. I'm so angry. My emotions. Oh my gosh, I'm out of here. And then no insurance. Their family's not taken care of. They can't afford groceries. They're getting evicted soon.
Right.
No. Just take the time and energy, whether it's at night, early morning. I mean, I'm up at 5:30. I don't have to be up at 5:30. I'm up at 5:30, and sometimes I'm not done till 9 o'clock at night. But I'm working on other things that I'm building out that can help implement, and I can supplement other things that I don't maybe like to do. So I think that's just, anytime you want to dive into another industry, get that thing ramped up before you just leave what you're already good at and making money at.
So valuable. It really is, because there's a lot of things I have learned over the years in business that you don't realize that, because you think it's just getting it off the ground. It's not that. The scaling part is a whole nother animal, and so how to duplicate yourself and how to delegate and how to hire out. It's so important. Very important. Yes. So on that, where do you see flipping experts in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
That's remember I told you before when we were talking, I was like, that one guy threw out one question. His was similar to that, but it was like way deeper. Because I usually, I try not to go 5 years out, because like a year changes a lot for me.
Okay, we'll do a year then.
No, I'm totally fine with that. I always have big picture, but when I draw stuff out, my stuff changes so fast. And for me, it's just, I want to serve even more people. I love it. I don't care about my name being out there or a company being out there. I know the more people I serve, it always comes back. I've seen it. Absolutely. I mean, the Bible talks about it. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in my friend's life. I've seen it in guys that are multi-billionaires, that the more they give, it blesses other people, but it always blesses us more. So for us in our company, if I can serve more people, and show them things that they don't have to fall where I fell, and they can get to where I'm at or past me so much faster than it took me. I'm all about that. Like, hey, I want you to succeed better than I did. Do these 5 things and you're going to miss those hurdles. So, I don't know. I like that our company is growing very rapidly right now. We have an amazing coach that's pouring into us heavily, and we're staying in our stream of real estate, but we're able to build a design company, build a staging company, build a rental portfolio, build a training course, but it all stays in the real estate, which we're experts at, and we understand, and we're not like, hey, squirrel, and they're over there doing something that has nothing to do with like what they know or what they've learned or what they went to school for. So I like that you can basically unpeel and get different levels. We all saw it with Chip and Joanne, right? They had a show, but then it turned into a book and a magazine and a Target line. But that can be in anybody's business. I don't care what business you're in. I talked to a guy last night till 10 o'clock last night. He's from Jacksonville, and he's doing a store thing and selling products and all this. And I mean, he's like, hey, we've invested $150,000, started 14 months ago, and we're at $4.5 million already. Like, come on now. Like that's taking and unpeeling it, right? Like, hey, I tried this, it didn't work. Let me reach out to my coach. And like, coaching is huge. Like, if you don't have somebody pouring into you, like, where do I want to go? Here. Okay. Who's already doing this?
Exactly.
You're not. None of you can be my coach. It's specifically here. That's where I want to go. Who's there? And then you bring them on as your coach. You're going to get there so much faster. So much faster.
There's less headaches,
So many less headaches. And they have connections. They have connections. They have knowledge. I'm all about that.
And fast track. I think that's the biggest thing for my online course that I have to teach people to do what I did, when I was able to, I don't recommend doing what I did at the beginning. I was home with my little one on maternity leave, and the bug hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't go back to work. What am I doing? And so I rapidly tried to build an eBay business. And was able to resign within 3 weeks. And because I was like, I've got to be home with her. She's only going to be little once. So I took a leap that I wouldn't recommend others, but now I have a course that teaches people how to do it a little more strategic and to save them from the pitfalls. It's just so important to have someone that has that expertise in their life to be able to grab your hand and walk you along the process. So that's awesome.
But see, Michelle, you also knew your why.
Yeah.
So many people don't know why they want it. Like, oh, that person's doing this. I want that too. And I'm like, but that doesn't fit for you. Right. Like you were like, hey, I was on maternity leave, blah, blah, blah. Like your why was like, my child, I need to be here. I have to be successful because of this. So when it got hard and you had to work late and work early and work all day, you knew it was for her. A lot of people don't know their why, and they go into a business and they're like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm like, you're done. You're never going to survive because your hunger's not there. And like, why am I working till 10 o'clock at night? I don't have to.
Exactly.
But I had a hunger to write a book so I can bless people and they can learn. So I can do a membership that blesses people and they can go be successful, because we need all these vacant houses in our community renovated and beautiful again, and not abandoned and people living in them, and it's dangerous and it's unhealthy. Like, what's your why? Once you learn what that why is, nothing can stop you.
And really, the why I have found, and I've talked about this before on my podcast, is once you have money, your bills are paid and stuff like that, money only takes you so far. But then after that, you're like, but there has to be more purpose. So it can't just be money. It has to be something, like you said, to give back to the community, to help with your family, you know, because money is only a tool that gets you to the end result that you're really looking for. Freedom, time, family. That's right. That's awesome. So what would you leave us for some advice for online businesses or business in general?
I think I jumped into it already. Like my number one is know your why. Yeah. And then once I know that, like where I want to go, I work backwards. So like I want to grow an eBay business that does $2 million a year. Okay. You know why? Why? Because you want to be financially secure. I want to spend more time with my family. I want my kids to, I want to be able to buy their cars when they turn 16, whatever the why is. Now you know what your goal is. And then I just work backward from that. So, okay, if I want to do $2 million, how much do I need to do per month? How much do I need to do per week? How much do I need per day? And again, we're breaking it down in little steps, right? And then it's like, well, I can accomplish 2 million or 100,000 or 50,000 if I just need to get $3,000 a day. That's okay. I can do that versus looking at that big picture and going, oh my word, 2 million, there's no way. And it doesn't work. So like for me, it's know your why, go in every day. And what I'm learning right now with my amazing coach is like, let the experts do it. If you're not good at something, and I was reading some of your stuff today, actually, before we met, and it was like, it took me almost 2 decades to learn this. Like learn from the expert. I pay my coach a lot of money every month, but he saves me time. That's the only thing I can't replace. Right. So if, like you, in almost 2 decades, if someone can come to you, Michelle, and say, am I able to learn everything from you in 3 months, 1 month, a year? Yes, I can pour everything I know about this business into you in that time period. They just saved 19 years.
Absolutely. And a whole bunch of heartache.
Like we're building out websites and membership sites and promotional ads. And you know what I did? I flew out to Utah. I met with the experts that had a proven track record, right? Just like your coach, a proven track record. Exactly. They were the experts at it. I said, here's what I want. Does it work? Will it transition? Will it, all that? And they said, yep, here's how we do it. I said, do it. So for me, I'm like, let the experts do what they're good at. If they build courses and memberships, let them. If they work on cars and they're a mechanic, let them. I don't go fix my own car. I go take it to the mechanic. He's the expert.
It takes 3 times as much. No.
Right.
Exactly.
And you'll waste more time and energy than frustration.
And frustration. And it saps your energy. I don't mind doing this stuff like detailing our vehicle. I don't mind doing it, but I can do so much more value to what I can do by spending that 3 hours doing what I'm good at and what God has designed me to do. I can pay someone to, outsource the things that are draining. That's good. Great advice.
Couldn't agree with you more.
I love it. Well, Paul, I really appreciate your time. And as a gift, he has given us a 15% discount off of his membership site. It's the Paladin Global Market's the coupon code or the membership code. And I will make sure I add that in there.
All in
caps. Paladin Global Market. We really appreciate you doing that. And hopefully in the future, we can have you and your beautiful wife on together and we'll do another.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Paul, for what you're doing. Keep giving back to the community. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Take care.